In November 2024, the I Want to Find project received 6,876 applications from Russians to search for their relatives, servicemen of the Russian armed forces who went missing while fighting against Ukraine. The places with the greatest such losses are still in Pokrovsky and Bakhmut districts of the Donetsk region, as well as the Kursk region of the Russian Federation. This was reported in the Telegram channel of the Single Center for Receiving Requests for Surrender, I Want to Live. It is noted that the information was collected only on the basis of the data on the occupiers that their relatives transferred to the Ukrainian state project of the coordination headquarters for the treatment of prisoners of war. This is almost 8% more than last month, and the largest number in a month since the launch of the I Want to Find project in January 2024. A total of 45,404 applications were received during this time, the statement said. It is noted that in November, the total number of those found through I Want to Find increased by 223 people and amounted to 1,538 servicemen. Of these, 1,458 occupiers had the status of prisoners of war and 80 were found among the dead. Since there were no prisoner exchanges in November, the number of those who returned home did not change, 346 people. 1,112 prisoners of war were found with the help of the I Want to Find project are awaiting exchange in places of detention, the authors say. It was established that in November, the largest number of requests for searches were received in relation to servicemen of the 252nd Motorized Rifle Regiment, 15th, 25th, 123rd Motorized Rifle Brigades, as well as the 810th Marine Brigade of the Russian Armed Forces. 9 of the 20 anti-leader units, in terms of the number of missing persons, are made up of men drafted into the ranks of Putin's army in the temporarily occupied Donetsk, Lugansk and Crimea. The places of greatest losses on the Ukrainian front, in addition to the Pokrovsk and Bakhmut directions, are also the Kupiansk and Chugoev districts of the Kharkov region, Severodonetsk, Luhansk region, Svadovsky, Kramatorsk, Volnovakha, Donetsk region, Pologovsky district of the Zaporizhia region. As in October, the most active in the search for the missing occupiers were their wives and sisters, who accounted for 55% of all applications to the project. Most of them came from Moscow and the Moscow region of the Russian Federation. The Republic of Bashkortostan, Rostov region and Krasnodar region remain the stable anti-leaders in the number of missing soldiers of the Russian army.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán said Friday that Europe is extremely weak militarily, while Russia has become stronger during its war with Ukraine. Speaking to Hungary's state broadcaster, Orbán said, "We do not even have the equipment and ammunition that would otherwise be necessary in a conflict with the Russians. But after the war in Ukraine, European security should be reorganized, and it will also determine America's place in this European security system," he added. Orbán, a leading figure of the far right in Europe, has long pursued close ties with incoming U.S. President Donald Trump, and was the first EU leader to publicly endorse the Republican during his campaign for president. Orbán is also widely considered to be Russian President Vladimir Putin's closest partner in the EU, and has maintained friendly relations with the Kremlin even after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. More recently, Orbán has continually insisted that Trump, once elected president, would bring an end to the war in Ukraine, and has framed the conflict as a proxy war between Russia and the United States. Orbán argued that the situation was being complicated by the fact that the US was between administrations with opposed views about the conflict in Ukraine. The root of it all is that there are 2 American presidents, and this period will be until January 20th. When one leaves, the other officially enters, and then I think things will be smoothed out, simplified, and manageable. Firefighters battled a brush fire in Baltimore, Maryland on Thursday night. Baltimore City Fire Chief James Wallace said crews were first dispatched to the fire shortly after 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday night. "Our units were dispatched for a brush fire," Wallace said. "When they got here, they discovered a rapidly evolving fire that was in a large pile of trees and logs in a large area. This stage is just that, lots of trees, logs, stumps and things like that. This has been a challenge because it's been a wind-driven fire. It's been very difficult for us to get out ahead of it. Wallace said that approximately 100 to 125 firefighters were battling the fire on Thursday night. He said the fire was not under control, but that crews have gained an upper hand. Once we gain a little bit more fire control, we're going to begin to move heavy equipment in and we're going to attempt to cut a ring around this fire and contain it within its footprint, he added. Wallace also said that crews are trying to protect the Interstate 83 freeway and the city's light rail system. Mayor Brandon Scott said the interstate has been shut down within the city. 83 is closed in the city. Period. Blank, full stop. Scott also said that the light rail is closed in some areas and at least 2 high schools will be closed on Friday.